So let's talk about something that I am about ready to take a victory lap on. There was an article that came out on Colorado football just highlighting some of the nonsense, some of the egotistical nonsense that has been coming out of Colorado for the past week and a half. It has been just pure nonsense. And I have been a clear advocate to this, a clear anti-advocate to some of this Colorado narrative, some of this speculation that Colorado could even turn to a college football powerhouse or even something that is actually attainable, an 8-9 win team. Colorado football was never going to be a powerhouse. Now, here's something that I'm willing to take a step further. I said that Deion Sanders, as much as I love to watch it, because I'll be honest, Deion Sanders is captivating. Shedeur Sanders is captivating. I like stars. I like superstars. I like being able to be clearly tuned in and be highlighted and just have my eyes locked on to stars. Shedeur Sanders does that, whether it's the flexing the watch, whether it's the your dad is Deion Sanders, or whether it's Deion Sanders going straight into primetime mode. But this is why I'm about ready to take a victory lap on all of this nonsense. The head coach for Oregon football, I forget the name. It's not Mario Cristobal. It's Dan Lanning, the Oregon head coach, had basically said pregame to his team, they're playing for clicks, we're playing for wins, or something along that line. And it was true then, and it's true now. This is what I've been clearly against. This is the problem with Deion Sanders being a head coach. This is the problem with Deion Sanders being an effective head coach, which is more of what we're talking about. You have to be an adult. You can't do the same primetime thing that you've been doing for the past 3 decades. That shtick doesn't work. You can act like you know all, and you can walk with your head up high, and there's just some things that you can't fake it until you make it. Deion Sanders is really into him, and that is perfectly okay for a cornerback. Cornerbacks and quarterbacks are judged differently. Head coaches and cornerbacks are judged differently. I don't care what the cornerback is doing. Obviously, to a sense, primetime had that. He was a star. He was a star before it was cool in the NFL to be a star. As a head coach, you got to be an adult. You have to be a leader. And Deion can lead, but it's a different type of leadership. And some of this is a little corny. It's a little cheesy. I never bought into it, but I thought it was going to be interesting. I thought it was going to be fun, and I am all for rooting for chaos and fun because that's what I want to see. It's easier for my business, it's easier to react to, and it's fun to talk about. But this is why I'm taking a victory lap. As a head coach, you're effectively a parent of a team. You're effectively the head of the household. Your job is to make sure everyone else falls in line. So when players are doing dumb stuff we'll talk about in just a minute, or when your son is acting nonsensical at times, I'm going to blame you. You have to be the adult. They emulate their parents. They emulate the head of the household. And that's what they're doing. That's what the Colorado players are doing. You want to take off the captains and the captain patches and just put L's for leaders and D for dogs. It's the stupidest thing I've ever seen. I saw the other day it was all about Flash because that's exactly what primetime was. He was about Flash. He was electric. He was a shell shocker. Colorado's got their Instagram handles on the back of their jerseys, their Twitter handles, their social media handles on the back of their jerseys. There is nothing more corny or nonsense than anything that I have seen close that compares to the nonsense and the idiocracy to Colorado football. Putting your social media handles in the back of your jersey, really, what are we? 15, 16, and are putting your @ handle on the back of your car? That's why I'm out on Shedeur Sanders. I've tried to be in on Shedeur Sanders as long as I could be. The guy is too into him. And that's not what the quarterback position is about. The quarterback position is I will take all the blame and give all the credit to someone else. I'll take all the arrows and shield my teammates from everything else. It's always been about we. That's what football has always been about. Shedeur Sanders is not into we. Shedeur Sanders is into me. Whether it's flexing his watch, whether it's whatever. Whether it's showboating on the sidelines, I don't care what the wide receivers, the offensive linemen, the defensive linemen, the cornerbacks, anyone else on the field is doing. The quarterback is different. Shedeur Sanders is just too into himself. It's why, in my opinion, Cam Newton never really reached his full potential in the NFL. One Super Bowl appearance, never had back-to-back winning seasons, never had back-to-back division winning seasons, never was a consistent quarterback. Check the statistics. Cam did a lot of this. It's because Cam was into Cam. Shedeur Sanders is into Shedeur Sanders. Except the difference is, Shedeur Sanders doesn't have nearly the physical capabilities that Cam Newton had. Cam Newton is bigger, stronger, and more talented than Shedeur Sanders. That's what got him through a lot of the NFL things. Shedeur Sanders is not going to work. He's too into him. You know, I had questions about Caleb Williams. Who's he into? Himself? The team? I'm still not sure on the Caleb Williams thing. I think it's going to work because I think he's that superbly talented. And I think we're just in a new age of the NFL where some of that personality can mix. Shedeur Sanders takes it way too far. He is like his father at the quarterback position, but not nearly as talented as his dad was. And that's not to say Shedeur Sanders might not be good or doesn't have a lot of talent. He's not Deion Sanders. So when you see the report, players are getting bullied in the locker room, or Shiloh Sanders, a guy that is a fringe NFL player to say the least, is slapping players in the locker room, and it's just gotten fully toxic, I blame Deion Sanders. I blame the parent. I blame the head coach. Kids emulate their parents. Players are going to emulate their head coach. And when the head coach is acting the same like as he did as a cornerback and not acting like an adult, that's the trouble you're going to get yourself into. That's the standard you're going to show your kids. You have to be the leader by example. This corny shtick of I'm prime time and I'm cooler than everyone and I am a shutdown guy, that worked in the 90s. It doesn't work anymore. As the head coach of the football team, you need to be a leader. It's why I never bought into this Deion Sanders stuff. It's why I never bought into this Deion Sanders hype. It's not going to work. It's falling apart quicker than I could imagine. And Colorado football is nothing but a clear debacle. And there's no one else to blame besides Deion Sanders. He set this expectation. He gave this example for his players to follow, and it is nonsense. It doesn't work. It's weird. Social media handles on the names of the back of practice jerseys is strange. Letting players beat up on each other in the locker room, bullying going on. Deion Sanders has a lot of maturing to do as a head coach. It worked as a cornerback because he was a cornerback. Head coach is a completely different ballgame. And Colorado is in a heap of trouble. And in my opinion, will be a massive disappointment in 2024.